Okay, so approximate mean using grouped data. So what this means is that sometimes you're not given the raw data. Sometimes what you're given is a frequency distribution, and you have to use that frequency distribution where the data is grouped in classes and try to estimate what your mean would be. So what we're going to do is we're going to compute those midpoints. So we did that a while ago when we were doing the frequency polygons. So we're going to do those midpoints again. And as a reminder, midpoint is just the average between the lower class limit and then the lower limit of the next largest class, the two consecutive class limits. So for each class, we're going to multiply the class midpoint to the class frequency. We're going to add the products, the midpoint and the frequency. So what we're doing is we're essentially we know that when we're looking at a range of data, so like let's say we're looking at the class with between 55 and 58, and then my frequency is 6. We know we have 6 values between 55 and 58. We just don't know what they are. So we're just going to find that midpoint and just say all that data is that midpoint, which I'll show you again here in a second. But anyways, after we multiply the midpoint to the class, which is what step doing is just deciding what those data points are going to be, we're going to add all those products we made of the midpoint times the frequency. And then we're going to divide the sum by the sum of your frequencies. So this is really kind of close to what we're going to call a weighted mean in a little bit. If we have data here, what we mean is we want to find two things. Make a little chart over here. The one, I'm going to do this. I want my midpoint. I'm going to want my frequency, and then I want my midpoint times the frequency. So we're just going to use M for midpoint here. So to find those midpoints, we take these two numbers, add them together, and then we divide by 2. Our first one's going to be a midpoint of 25. So what we're doing is that we have 10 numbers in this data set. So this is number of text messages by a sample of 50 high schoolers. Well, what we see here is that 10 of those high schoolers sent between 0 and 49 messages. We're just going to round it out and say, okay, we're going to average it because I don't know like how many did 1, how many did 49 or anything like that. We're going to go, well, we'll all assign them 25. They sent 25 messages. So this is really, it's an estimate. Like I said, we're just trying to make a guess of what the value could have been. But we're just going to keep on doing that. So the next one would end up being 100 plus 50 divided by 2 would be my next midpoint. And oh, let me see. So that's going to give me 150. That would be 75. And so we know we had 5 text messages that were between, or 5 high schoolers sent between 50 and 99 text messages. We're going to average it out and say all 5 sent 75 because we don't know what it is. Okay. Just remind you that trick here. So what we see here is from here to here, we got that class width of 50. And like from here to here, that was that same class width. So if you want to find the rest of these, we're just going to keep on adding 50. So if I add on 50 one more time, that's going to be 125, and that's going to represent this class. We had a frequency of 13. We add on 50 again, we're going to get 175, representing the midpoint of this class. I had a frequency 11. The midpoint of this class, if I add on another 50, is 225. We had a frequency of 7. And then this last one would have been 275 as the midpoint and the frequency of 4. Then we're going to go through. We're going to take that midpoint and we're going to take that frequency. And we just multiply them together. Really what I'm doing is I'm saying I have 25 10 times. So we're just going to just make it easier on ourselves. Okay, so I'm not going to write down that whole part each time. So 75 times 5 would be this one. Write this down one more time, and then the rest I'm going to put in the calculation. So that's going to give me 375. All right, so we've got 125 times 13. That's 1,625. We have, what was that, 175 times 11. That is going to be 1,925. We're going to have 225 times 7. That's going to be 1,575. Then we're going to have 275 times 4, and that's going to be 1,100. What we want to do is we need a summation of those frequencies, which actually we do know what that's going to be, because we're told 50 right here, but let me just put it up here. So if I do a summation of just the frequencies, so the 10 plus 5 plus the 13 plus the 11 plus the 7, or that should give me 50 because we had 50 high schoolers. Then I'm going to need the sum of those midpoints times the frequency. So that'd be the 250 plus 375 plus 1,625 plus 1,925 plus 1,575 plus 1,100. So if we add those up, second, I accidentally hit the wrong button here trying to do that. We add those up. Try this one more time. I can need a different calculator. Okay. The sum of the midpoint times the frequency is going to be 6,850. So if I want to have my estimated mean, I think I'm doing a sample actually, so sample high schoolers. So I need my mean. It's going to be the summation of my midpoint times frequency, and that's divided by the summation of my frequency, or we also know that's to be n. So it'd be 6,000 or 6,850 divided by 50. And that is roughly 137 text messages. So we're guessing that is what the sample average is. So I'm really just estimating the mean. Like I said, I don't have all the data. So just because we don't have the data doesn't mean we can't make a good estimate. So you're going to try this again, but this is a frequency distribution of the age of presidents. So we know from the raw data. So this is all the presidents. So this was a population mean. We had 55.5. I think I accidentally said 55.4 earlier. Take a minute and run through this. You need to find that midpoint times frequency, sum that up, divide by the number you have, and that will give you an estimate of the mean age of your US president. Okay, so we need to, your midpoint should have been 42.5, 47.5, 52.5, 57.5, 52.5, 50, or sorry, 62.5, 67.5, 72.5, and 77.5. And so if I multiply those with the frequencies, we get that here. That sum of the frequencies is 2,522.5. And we had 45 presidents. So the summation of your frequency should have been 45. So if we calculate that mean, we should get 2,522.5 divided by 45, which is going to be 56.1. We round it. So rounding one, remember, because age of presidents go to the 10, the ones place, we're going to go to a 10th place, add a decimal onto our calculation, like we did here. So we get 56.1. So what you see here, pretty close estimate. This is an estimate of the true mean. We don't have special notation to signify that, But we know that's going to be an estimate. So we're using all that population, that frequency distribution for our population, and we're getting something that is close. Like I said, it's not going to be perfect. We're just trying to get as close as we can. So you see, it's a pretty decent method to estimate what a mean would be when you do not have the raw data.